Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I utilize the Mastermind PBC6x by RJM Music to control my pedal board, a little bit about my settings and how I use it for my workflow. And I will attach my settings file that I use to program the unit in the comments so you can download that and use it as a template for your RJM unit if needed, just to see how I have things programmed. I've used RJM products for a few years. I used to run an all-Kemper setup a few years ago and used the Mastermind LT and then the GT16, both as MIDI controllers. And I got really familiar with the editor and just fell in love with their products and will continue to stand by those. A little bit of my editing process. I bought these USB extension cables a few years ago on Amazon, which have proved themselves to be the best investment on my board, just so I don't have to rip off the pedals when I need to edit. So I'll plug a USB cable right into the side of the board when I need to update the unit or change some settings. A little bit about the unit itself. Like I said in my pedalboard rundown video, the Jackson Audio Bloom and the Prickly Pear preamp both come before the unit. And then I go mono in and I'm using the buffers and my output is stereo out to the timeline. I really only use this one preset on the unit. I don't have song-specific presets, mainly because it just takes a while to program. But if I needed to program a song in Bank Up, I have Bank Up and Down buttons set on my home page to scroll through the different presets in the RJM. This is my tap tempo. I try and keep this button on every page just so I don't have to back up and find it. It's connected to the El Capistan and the timeline. I'm using the function switch to connect it to the El Capistan, and then it's connected via MIDI and sending clock to the timeline. And mainly I just tap in each song tempo when needed, and it works great for me. Many people have asked why I don't have a tuner on the board. The RJM offers a great tuner built in that stands against any other tuner that I've used. It's really accurate, and just the ease of access and saving space on the board just makes sense for me. Now on to how I control my pedals. I have access to all my dry effects here: the Pog, the Benson preamp, daily driver, and the kilt. And on this page, I have access to my MIDI pedals, the timeline and Big Sky, and again, a tap tempo button. And I like to keep this function button as a home button, just so I can get back to home base if I need to. This button accesses my wet effects, the synesthesia, El Capistan, timeline, and Big Sky. And these two are sending MIDI on and off messages when I need to turn the timeline and Big Sky off and on. Here I have my MIDI controls, and this accesses the timeline and Big Sky. I talk a little bit about this in my pedalboard rundown video, but I have preset decay and mix reverbs in the Big Sky that I'm constantly banking up and down, and this is how I do that with a bank up and down. Right there, that controls the Big Sky. Same for the timeline, except this banks up and down on different subdivisions that I have set, and I use that there. This is a global preset. It's not set right now, but normally it's a swell or like a home base emergency preset. By hitting that, it'll change the Strymon timeline and Big Sky to the delay and reverb that I want. And again, a tap tempo there. One thing about this unit that I love is the loop reordering feature. I would always get frustrated that a pedal didn't fit where I want it, and I would have to solder cables, cut cables, just to make it fit on my board. But you can see right there, for example, the number 4 is actually the Nanopog, and it's plugged into the 4th loop in the unit, but it's actually first in the chain. And so I replaced it with something and just drug it on the editor to the first of the signal chain. Makes it so easy to change your signal chain around, to experiment with different signal chain orders without having to unplug pedals and put them in the correct order that you want. Something else is that my volume pedal is in the insert loop, which is always on, so I don't have a toggle for that. I locked it as always on in the editor. So that's how I utilize the Mastermind PBC6x. It's pretty simple. There's so many crazy things that it can do that I'm not utilizing, and I'm continually learning more about the unit. So if you have any questions on how I'm using it or a little about my workflow or settings, feel free to drop it in the comments and I will answer my best.